Welcome to the Becoming Your Best Version podcast. I am your host, Maria Leonard Olson. I'm a civil litigation attorney in Washington, D.C. I am a podcaster, an author, two-time TEDx speaker, and mentor to women in recovery. I would greatly appreciate it if you would review and subscribe to this podcast. And hit the like button on my TEDx talks. People who do TEDx talks have to go through a rigorous process and it's a lot of work. And lastly, if you would hit the review button and review my most popular book, which is 50 After 50, Reframing the Next Chapter of Your Life. I have many authors on this show, and the greatest gift you can give to an author after going through so much work is to provide a review. And I hope you will review my guest's book because it is excellent. Today on the show is Oona Metz, a nationally recognized therapist and author who has spent more than 30 years studying the strange, tender, deeply human ways we navigate relationships, self-abandonment, and change. Her new book is called Unhitched, The Essential Divorce Guide for Women, which is published under an imprint of Simon and Schuster and came out in January. It's already earned remarkable attention. She was on CBS Mornings with Gail King, who praised the book. Maria Shriver highlighted it in her Sunday newsletter. Time magazine ran an exclusive excerpt, and it's been featured on CBS News and NPR's Morning Edition. It also quickly became a top divorce book on Amazon. Una speaks candidly about why women initiate nearly 70% of divorces and how that statistic is less about endings and more about awakening, about the cumulative effect of emotional labor, the slow erosion of self, and the eventual decision to choose alignment, truth, and self-trust. Her work is deeply aligned with conversations about reinvention and becoming, and we will get into it. Her five-phase model of divorce grief, which offers a thoughtful framework for understanding the emotional arc of transformation, not just as loss, but as a process of becoming. She is a licensed independent clinical social worker, a certified group psychotherapist, and fellow of the American Group Psychotherapy Association. She has 3 decades of clinical experience and specializes in treating women navigating divorce. You can learn more at Oona Metz, that's OONAMETZ.com. She's on all the social media, and all of this is in the show notes. Welcome, Oona.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really been looking forward to our conversation today.
Well, I love interesting names and learned from Una that her name is Gaelic of
Mm-hmm.
origin. And so she is well known in the media and in therapy circles. So you talk often about the quiet realization that something needs to change. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so just as a note of background in my practice, my therapy practice, I have led 3 weekly divorce support groups for women for the past 15 years. So I've literally talked to hundreds of women very intimately about their marriages and their divorces and what's going on with them. So just to give you that kind of background, and I think that women often spend many years thinking about divorce before they actually initiate a divorce. I think we are still so socialized to keep the family together, to keep the marriage going, to make sure we're paying attention to the kid, make sure we're paying attention to everybody else, actually, except for ourselves. Um, and so I think it takes quite some time to come to the realization that the marriage really is not going to get better, is not working. Um,
Yeah, it's very scary. And
yeah, yeah,
there, things change. I didn't want to
yes.
get divorced, but I could see it was coming. and
Mm-hmm.
was trying to prepare myself for that. And you're right,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of grief, and that grief is not linear. Tell us
That's
more
right.
about the path to grief and from cl to clarity and what you have observed in your clients and how you help them get there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think what you're referring to is the model that I developed when I was writing the book, which is the 5 phases of divorce grief. Is that what you're referring
Yes.
to? Yeah, yeah. Which is really more about after the decision has been made. And I'm happy to talk more about making the decision. But if we want to go into those 5 phases, um, and just to say, first of all, that I was writing the book, and I really come from a belief system that divorce is absolutely heartbreaking and stressful and chaotic. And at the same time, it does offer these kind of incredible opportunities for growth and healing and empowerment um, once you get through all of the really hard parts of it. And so that's kind of the bias that I hold. And as I was writing the book, I know that so many women get really in the beginning and middle phases are so worried that like this is it. It's just awful and I'm always going to feel terrible and I'm stuck here. And I wanted to show people that there's really a path through and out to the other side. Um, and so that's why I developed this model.
Yeah.
So my model starts with heartbreak, and it's really a heartbreak whether you're the one who initiates the divorce or not. Um, and certainly, if you're not the person who initiates, of course, there's heartbreak because you want it to continue. But even if you are the person who initiates, I really think you will only initiate divorce after a series of heartbreaks in your marriage. You know, each and every time you're not seen, you're not heard, you're not validated, you're criticized, you're whatever the thing is that's going on in your marriage where you're not getting your needs met, I think those little heartbreaks, little medium and big heartbreaks kind of add up to one big heartbreak when you have to initiate the divorce. Um,
True.
and then I think, go ahead. Sorry, were you going
Oh
to say
no, I
something?
was just
Oh,
saying true. I can
yeah,
relate to what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. And then I think after heartbreak, oftentimes comes what I call roller coaster. And the way I named it that way is because that's what I hear my clients saying all the time. Like, why does this feel like such a roller coaster? And it's really the roller coaster of emotions. I think divorce brings up, just about every feeling that's possible to have. And sometimes in rapid succession, sometimes all in 1 hour, sometimes two seemingly opposite feelings at the same time. Um, I think the roller coaster stage is exacerbated by the legal process, which does no favors to people's mental health, right? It's a system. Our family court system is not one that has really taken into consideration how to do it in a way that supports people's mental health. And so the roller coaster phase is where I hear people saying, I'm so anxious. I'm so upset. I'm sad. I'm mad. And I also like really miss my ex. Like I'm so angry at them and I miss them too. And so I think really being able to recognize that kind of nuance is really helpful for that particular stage. It's not a fun recognition, but I think it's necessary to kind of acknowledge your feelings and not criticize them and understand that it's okay you're feeling that way. Um,
Definitely.
and then after roller coaster, I really think comes the mending phase. And that is really a time where I think people are able to turn their attention away from an unhealthy marriage or a chaotic divorce and a little bit turn back towards themselves about what is it that I actually need right now? What can I do to help myself get through this time? I picture it as like picking up a little needle and thread and kind of mending those little holes in your heart um, that have come from a marriage that has not worked out and from a divorce, which can often be really, aggressive or difficult.
Yeah.
Um, and I think after mending, we really have letting go.
Yeah.
And there's so much to let go of in a divorce. You're not only letting go of your spouse, your relationship with your spouse, but you may be letting go of some financial security. You may be letting go of seeing your kids every day if you're a parent and you're sharing parenting time. You may be letting go also of your identity as being a married person or your identity as part of an intact family. Um, you also have to let go of your spouse's narrative about your marriage and about your divorce. And a lot of times I see women struggle with this part of like, but I want my spouse to understand. I want them to understand that, I wasn't, XYZ or they were XYZ. And that's why things went wrong. And I think we have to let go of that expectation that we're going to have a shared understanding of what happened. Occasionally that happens, but more often than not, there are two different narratives about what happened, and holding on to trying to convince somebody else of your narrative, especially when you're in a divorce, is not going to be useful.
That took me
So.
a while. Definitely.
Yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while. I remember one time seeing on I was visiting a friend, and on her refrigerator, she had a refrigerator magnet and it said, let go or be dragged.
Yes.
And
That's
I was like, yeah,
so
that's,
true. That's something that we talk about
that's,
in recovery circles too.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And then I think the final phase is really the moving on phase. And
Yeah.
that is, um, it's not that you forget that you're divorced. It's not that the divorce won't always be it's always going to be part of your history, right? It's always part of your identity, part of who you are. And if you're co-parenting, it's going to be a daily part of who you are.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's a time, it takes so much energy to be in an unhealthy marriage, and so much energy to be in a divorce. And I think once you get through all of that legal part, there's a way to kind of free up some of that energy and figure out like how do I want to invest this?
Yeah.
What what kind of activity or relationship do I want to have with another person, with myself, with my kids, that's going to bring me some amount of meaning and purpose and joy in life? And how do I kind of reinvest that energy? You know,
Yeah, so
and
true. I mean, I wrote a whole book about that.
uh-huh,
And
right,
I
right.
took a very unusual way of getting to that point, which was to try 50 new things in my 50th year to determine how I wanted to live the next chapter. But
Hmm.
I did
I love
have
that.
times when I regressed, and I was sold that vision of a Hallmark happy ending and a
Mm,
perfect family. And it looked like it was pretty perfect from the outside, but it wasn't. And
yeah.
I'm happier now, but happiness,
Right.
different kind of happiness
Yeah,
than
yeah.
I envisioned
Mm-hmm.
early on.
Right. Right. But that's such a cool idea. I love that idea and that book that you wrote, to try 50 new things. That's great.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah.
And I also appreciate about your book that you address LGBTQ plus relationships because
Hmm.
they only got the legal right to marry by and large in 2013, which wasn't that long ago.
Hmm.
So, how do you address those sort of more modern relationships and undoing of those relationships?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think the relationships themselves are modern, but the
Yeah,
but being
exactly.
having access to the legal aspects is
Legal.
is
Hmm.
is new, right?
True.
Um yeah, the LGBTQ community has really been so left out of so many things, and certainly left out of any conversation about marriage, even though we have the legal rights now. I think LGBTQ people have been left out of the conversation and the writing about marriage, and certainly divorce. It's so hard to find any, even like the statistics about gay divorce, they're all from the Netherlands. Like we haven't even really done the research here. Um, and so I just wanted to be sure that in this book we did not exclude that community at all. And so the way that I did that was that I made sure to include vignettes. The book is structured with very important kind of practical, good psychological information, and then vignettes
Mhm.
um, of people who have gone through the process, and then exercises so that you can reflect on your own experience. And so I just made sure in the vignettes that there were plenty of vignettes that were inclusive and that included both same-sex and opposite sex couples.
Wow, I think that's wonderful. And you focus a lot of your work on divorce. How did that emerge in your practice? Because
Mhm.
I'm sure that wasn't exactly what you were setting out to do at the beginning of your career.
Right, right. No, at the beginning of my career, I had a 5 year long postgraduate training in group therapy. So, really, in the beginning of my career, I was very um, excited and passionate about leading group therapy and did that for the first 15 years, along with individuals, of course. But I had a number of women's groups that I led. And then I went through my own divorce, um, maybe 16, 17 years ago. And when I went through my divorce, I really wanted to attend a support group. I wanted to hear from other people. How did you do it? And are you okay? I wanted to basically know if I was going to be okay and if my daughter was going to be okay, right? That's what I wanted a support group for. And there was no support group that existed. So this little idea got planted in my mind, and I thought, well, maybe when I have enough distance from my own divorce, I could start this group because I'm already a therapist. I know how to lead groups, and I started the first one, and it filled up so quickly that I started two more, and as I said, all three of those groups are still going today. On a weekly basis, we meet, and people stay in the groups for as long as it's helpful to them, and then they leave, and then another person comes in. And so it's been a really wonderful part of my career, one of my favorite parts of my week, and then the inspiration for this book, because I finally kind of thought, well, gosh, I have so much useful information kind of jangling around in my brain. I better write this all down and share it with more people than just the people in my groups.
Yeah, I am also a fan of support groups. I mean, I still go to AA and Al-Anon, but
Ah, yeah.
at the times I was in deep depression, I was in a DBT group and a
Hmm.
CBT group, and it
Oh,
really
good.
helped.
Yeah, yeah. I think divorce is one of those things that can feel so isolating. So people come to me all the time and they're like, how is it possible that so many marriages end in divorce and I don't know anyone going through it? And so I think the group setting can really help people feel like, okay, I'm not the only one, and there are other people out there, and we can all kind of support each other and get connected. And it's really wonderful to see.
I agree. I noticed on your website that people can sign up to get free resources on relationships, divorce, and news.
Mhm.
What kinds of things do you send out?
So I have a newsletter that I send out, and lately it's really been mostly about how they can connect with me either in person or online. But I also will send out just little tidbits that I find. My favorite podcast, maybe we'll have this one on my next newsletter. Um, or interesting articles that I've found that I think could be of interest. And my website also has a huge resource list. I list like all all kinds of books on divorce and kids' books on divorce and financial and legal resources. So it's all there.
That's that's great. Your book is also hailed as having a wealth of practical tools to guide people forward. Can you give us a preview of one of the practical tools in the book?
Oh, absolutely. So the book really almost works in a chronological order. So, from making the decision to divorce, or if the decision is made for you, through figuring out what kind of support system you need, through how to tell people, how to tell your kids, um, and then through really renegotiating your boundaries with other people. There's two specific chapters on kids and supporting kids in the best way possible. And then the end of the book is all about dating after divorce and really establishing your new identity.
Mhm.
Um, so there's so many practical pieces on in each and every chapter. I think the ones that are most practical are really the ones about kids
Mm.
and really thinking really clearly about what kind of parenting time do you want. I give a script about exactly like a template about exactly how to tell your kids, like kind of 5 tips about what pieces you want in each um, template to tell your kids that you're getting a divorce. So really helping parents because their kids are going through the divorce too, and I think it's so hard for most parents. This is their first time through it, so they don't know, what to do or what's the best practice, but just helping them to figure out what will support their kids the best.
Wow, I really wish I had had your book when I was going through
Mm,
this 13 years ago, I think.
hmm.
And I had teenagers, and that was hard. I think the
Yeah.
hardest part for me right now is holidays, how to
Yeah.
work that out. We didn't have anything in writing about how that would work out. So
Ooh,
what I
that's
did,
tough.
I started 3 years ago, is taking a trip with my
Hmm.
adult children before Christmas
Oh.
and just letting them choose whatever they want to do for Christmas and Thanksgiving, which can be going to their dad's or not.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that gives me some concentrated time with them, and we're
Yeah.
building better memories. So it's working now. It's not
I love
ideal,
that.
but
I
it's
love
working.
that. Yeah. It's so important, I think, when you're divorce to create new traditions with your kids and to involve your kids in that too. And I think people can get so despairing about, but I always had Thanksgiving with my kids. And,
Yeah.
you know, meanwhile, kids don't care that Thanksgiving is on a Thursday, right? We care that it's on
Yeah.
a Thursday, but if you say to the kids, "Hey, this year we're having Thanksgiving on a Saturday,"
Yeah.
and instead of turkey, we're going to have, whatever, your favorite
Yeah.
thing, salmon or whatever it is. Like kids
Right.
will get on board with that. So I think we have to get over our own being wed to certain traditions because I think kids are oftentimes pretty flexible and malleable with that kind of stuff. Um, and as long as I think the message is given in the right way, they can really get on board too. And especially if they're involved, what do you think we should do for this or that? But yes, holidays is one, I think, for people who've been divorced, and I notice this for myself too, even if you've been divorced for 15, 20 years, it can still bring up this little poignant feeling when you're not with your kids on the holidays. Yeah, yeah,
Definitely. How old is your
yeah.
child now?
My youngest is 19, almost
19.
20. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Yeah, and my daughter is actually getting her master's in social work right now.
oh wow, great,
So
great.
sometimes I have a negative voice in my head saying she did that because her family life was so difficult. But she's
Well,
always been someone with a really steady ability to help other people. So maybe
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
her path.
yeah, yeah. Her silver lining, she figured out how to negotiate family relationships, and she's real good at it now. She's going to
Yeah,
put it to good use. Good for her.
true.
It's exciting.
So you got through this, and you have lots of steps on how people can consciously step into new versions of themselves. What is one step in that
Mhm.
direction
hmm Of
that,
stepping into a new version.
yeah.
Yeah. I really like to ask people to think about a small bucket list and a large bucket list.
Mm.
So traditionally we think of bucket lists as kind of being big, oh, I want to take a trip to Switzerland or, these kind of grand things. And that's great. I mean, we should have those bucket lists too, but there may be first of all, financial
Yeah.
constraints that people are facing. So, what are the other bucket lists that you can think about that have to do? Maybe they're practical, but maybe they're also about your identity. I mean, the first thing I always do is I always say, you got to change your bedding right away if you get divorced. Your bed is a very symbolic place. And why don't changing your bedding is not going to break your bank for most people. And so get the bedding that you really, really, really love so that that's a
Oh,
place you get into at the end of the night, or the end of the day, I guess. You get into your bed and you feel comfortable and you feel like, yes, this is mine. Or do you want to paint your walls? Like, what's your favorite color in the world? And is that what color your walls are
yeah.
or not? Or do you want to rearrange the furniture in your house if you've stayed in your house, so that it has a different feel to it? Do you want to give your house kind of a detox, in a way?
Yeah.
And don't forget to detox your digital space too. You know, your phone brings up all those, every day I get my phone tells me, here's a picture from 98 or whatever. I guess maybe not that old, but from 2016. Um, and do you want that or not? Maybe you do. But if you
Mhm.
don't, how do you kind of also detox your phone from your old life? And what parts do you save? And what parts do you let go of?
Good
Yeah,
advice. Good
yeah,
advice.
yeah.
So I ask all of my guests the following question. What do you do, Una, to become your best version?
Hmm. Oh, that's a great question. Well, I think as a therapist, I spend a lot of time listening and taking in, other people and metabolizing other people's stories and other people's pain. And so it's been really helpful for me over the years of being a therapist to make sure that I'm metabolizing that and not holding on to it. So I have a very regular yoga practice that I do where I am moving my body, and I believe that I am moving the pain that I am kind of inhabiting in my office. I'm moving it through and out into the world, so that it can dissipate. And I also have a new habit where I'm playing music in my house that doesn't have lyrics. It's like the kind of music that you might hear when you go to get a massage.
Mm,
So
yeah.
um, it's like spa music or something, and it's very calming. And sometimes I play that or play the sound of the ocean in my house, which just helps my nervous system to just, calm right down. I tend to be a very steady and even person, but when I sit with people all day long who are in pain, it's important to kind of be able to metabolize and integrate all of that. And so those are the things that I do to become the best version of me.
Excellent. I like that. I have used music and then I forget, and I'm going to
Yes.
recommit to having that.
hmm
It definitely lifts my spirits. It's such a
Yeah.
great thing
Yeah.
to have
Yeah.
in
I
your
mean, there's
life.
certain times where I love to listen to music that has lyrics and sing along and dance in the kitchen or whatever. But if it's like in the late in the night or before bed or in the morning when I'm getting up, I just like to have very calming, sounds around me.
Oh, yes, yes. So I thank you, Una, for being on the show and putting this excellent book into the world. Go to unametz.com to learn more about her practice and her resources. I mean, this woman has given more than 100 talks and workshops around the
Mhm.
world. So she knows what she's doing. She can help guide you through this difficult transition. And actually, the things in her book are great for anyone, really, to reinvigorate your life and to get through any of life's challenges. And they'll keep coming. It's not just one and done. We all
Right.
have challenges in our lives. So thank you, Una, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure having our talk today.